Hello, and welcome to another Tech Articles. In today's article, which should be relatively quick, I want to discuss WP-Cron. I've noticed a few issues in a few groups actually recently about automation not running, be that your newsletter's not going out via Fluent CRM, or your automation informatic not working, or any other automation tool, or anything else where time is critical. And I'm not going to bore you with too many details about Cron, but Cron is the automation that runs everything behind your site. So WordPress comes bundled with something called WP-Cron, which is in the most part brilliant for WordPress websites. But this is the official developer um, Cron article. And the key bit of this is here. So it says WP-Cron works by checking on every page load, a list of scheduled tasks to see what needs to be run. Any task due to run will be called during that page load. WP-Cron does not run constantly as a system cron does. It's only triggered on page load. Scheduling errors could occur if you schedule a task for 2 p.m. and no page loads occur until 5 p.m. And this is what's happening to these individuals who are complaining about their newsletters not going out or their automation's not running. So during the day, they're running absolutely fine. They're getting their visitors to their site as their businesses operate as they intend to. But in those quieter hours of the morning, when you tend to schedule things like emails delivery because you want to use that spare server load to do that delivery, you're not getting the visitors to trigger that in the first place, and that introduces our issues with WP-Cron. So in today's video, I want to go through some more details about why that's an issue, how that's an issue, and I've covered pretty much the first slide straight away anyway. And I'm just going to go through and I'm going to show you how crons can be done in all sorts of different providers based on their information. And I'm actually going to give you a live example of adding a cron to a direct admin site. So I'm going to head over to my slides, and as I say, I've pretty much covered the first one. So it's important to say WP-Cron is not rubbish. For what it does, it works miraculously well. But when you are taking your sites to the next level and adding in these automations, it's not as easy and it's not as great. So what we need to do is we need to look at alternatives to WP-Cron. And I always, for any site with automation, I always disable WP-Cron and use an actual cron tab to do this. And I'm pretty lucky. Gridpane does that all for me. As long as you're using and we'll cover Gridpane later, but as long as you're using a certain version of Ubuntu, it will automatically handle installing your Cron-job for you. So I'm going to go over to this WordPress article, and this talks about disabling WP-Cron and how to invoke the cron instead. So it's really easy to disable, and you just need to add this here into your WP config file, and that will disable WP-Cron. And then it tells you how to, you can use Windows to trigger it, or your Mac, or your Linux. And what we'll do is we'll discuss this later, and I've got some examples for this. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to go through and show you in a couple of control panels where your cron settings are. So I'm going to start with direct admin. So in the direct admin control panel, if we reload our page here like so, and if you navigate to advanced features, you will see cron jobs here. And this is your cron job settings, and we will come back later and we will set a cron job here. So we go to control panel, and control panel, this is how it looks when you log into control panel. And if you scroll down again, if you scroll down to advanced, you'll see you've got your cron job here as well. And very much similar to the one that is on direct admin, when you actually go to add one, you'll see that it's very similar. And actually, they've come a long way from when they used to exist. So when they used to be set, they never told you what all of this was. You had to manually type it in like this, like this, with your blank stars, not knowing what any of them mean. But they've become much more user friendly over the years, and now they explain to you what they do and how they work. You can set up cron jobs on Cloudways. I'll put a link to this article for Cloudflare Ways users. And as I said earlier, Gridpane automatically does it if you're using 22.04 or above. They use their WP-Cron, and that's set on a 5-minute interval. And it's with the default fuzziness. And fuzziness is what I would call ish, so it's 5 minutes ish. It'll be some side of 5 minutes. But so my Gridpane sites automatically have WP-Cron being used, which means they're not using WordPress Cron, which means they're not subject to that need for visitors. There are also, for those of you who are self-hosting on a site that doesn't have Cron, now most of you should be running on a Linux box. You can install Cron and you can set that to work in the system, behind the system. But for whatever reason, let's say you don't have that access, there are also external Cron providers, such as Fast Cron and Easy Cron is another. This is actually relatively cheap. You get 5 cron jobs, 5 minutes intervals, which means actually that's 5 websites at a 5-minute interval. And 5 minutes is what I tend to have my interval set at. And there's also free cron jobs, which is free. I've never used it. I found it when I was preparing for this video. But it's an open source free service that I haven't tested, but maybe somebody can. But there are services out there for those of you that don't want to set up the cron job on your own service for whatever reason. So how does so as I said, your first thing you've got to do is disable WordPress Cron. Then you need to decide on your frequency. And this here is an ASCII diagram of how a cron job works. So you've got your day of the week, you've got your minutes, you've got your hours, you've got your days of the months, days of the week, and they're all asterisked, in which cases it's going to run all the time. So this is a standard command to run every minute of every day. This is one to run 5 minutes every time for every day, and this one's 15 minutes. Now, the complications here are in the command that you send. So if we go to WP, we go here, this is pretty easy. And as you can see from my example, this would be a 5-minute cron tab. And even down here, it tells you what it is. So if we were now to change that to 15 minutes, that would automatically know that we're going to run every 15 minutes. Now, the trick is command. Now, WordPress tell you to use wget if possible, and I'd agree with that. On direct admin, I can use wget. We'll go through that in a second. If not, you'll have to use curl. But wget is a web request directly to the site. Curl is similar. The delete after in this example will delete the logs. Now, this is currently set to send emails, so you'll get a notification for every time this runs. This means to not send emails. It means to null the output. So if we head back over to direct admin and finish off our tasks here. So I'm just going to go back to our PDF and I'm going to grab this command here. So let's go back to direct admin, and if we put that into this will now run a wget delete after against my site. Now on direct admin, and it might even be the same on cPanel, I don't know. No, it's not. So you'd have to tell it to dev null on cPanel. But on direct admin, there's a little button here that you can push once you put your command in, and it will automatically add your dev null for you, and it explains that it prevents those emails. So this would now run every 15 minutes against HTTP, your site URL, and WP-Cron.php. Now, down here are some examples that I can run on this direct admin instance. So I can run a PHP cron, I can run a curl command, I can run a wget command on my cron. So the standard wget, which is what WordPress actually recommend, I know they probably say it in this one here. Yeah, they do. So this is their recommended call rather than curl, but curl will work as well if your server doesn't have wget. But I can obviously do all three here. So, and that's all I do. I just have to create this. In fact, I can probably create this. Okay, I'm assuming that means I can't have it on the top of the hour. I can't. So, okay. So that's now created our cron, and I'm going to delete that before it keeps running and I forget about it. So that's created our cron job there, and you saw how easy that is. It is to do. And as I say, all of these sites have the ability to do this. They are easy to set up. Once set up, they will continue to run, and they are more reliable. They don't rely on your visitors to do it. They are system based. They are constantly running and counting, and then and delivering, rather than relying on visitors to your site. So the only thing I'm going to close this video with before it's found by other people and people think WP-Cron is bad is, for most WordPress websites, WP-Cron is absolutely fine. If you're not doing any automation, you're not sending your newsletters out in the middle of the night, you're getting reasonable regular amounts of visitors, WP-Cron is perfectly adequate for the job. It's only where you are getting performance issues or you are doing these highly specific automation tasks at specific times of the day when you're more than likely not having the required visitors to push the cron, that you need to consider switching to a cron. Now, I do it by default to every site. It doesn't mean you have to. It doesn't mean that I'm advocating for that. I do that because I never know when I'm going to automate a site, so why wouldn't I just do that? But yeah, as a reminder, don't forget, WP-Cron is perfectly reasonable to use. You don't have to use outside cron for everything else. I hope this video is useful. Please do like and subscribe to the channel, and thanks for watching.